Creation's journey to life. In this journey, the patterns that constitute what we have accepted as our reality will be deconstructed through self-forgiveness and reconstructed through a commitment of correction to that which is best for all life. Day 88, Advanced Economics. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that advanced economics is when we move from the current paradigm that only created extensive inequality as wealth for the haves, which love the system, to poverty for the have-nots, which according to many haves are condemned by God conveniently. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that a real economist is one that considers real values, to assign such values effectively to those that should benefit from such values, and thus that a real economist will value life first, and then assign the support to life in an equal and fair way. One that does not value life is not an economist, but just a profiteer, misusing the label to continue to produce a system where life is not valued. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that any world economist will never let their own children go to bed hungry or let them live in poverty. Yet these same economists will allow this to happen to other parents, placing them in conditions where they cannot care for their children. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the character of the economist is the character of the economic system, as the one creates the other and vice versa, a conundrum of theory and knowledge trapped in pre-programmed self-interest. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that for one child to go hungry and without education or a home and safety indicates that the human ecosystem of economics failed and should be immediately replaced with a real value system. And as such, all leaders, as economists, should be held personally accountable for any death caused by the economic system, because then no one will suffer as many do now. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that any political system that advance an economic system that do not protect all life equally is one without any human rights. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that media is used to deliberately program voters to vote for economic policy. The same method is thus absolute acceptable to program the human to actually value life and care for each other. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the Earth as ecosystem belongs equally to all inhabitants of Earth and cannot be owned by anyone or any corporation, as that would be a violation of basic human life rights, which is sacred. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that real accounting is to be accountable for all life on Earth, to be treated and supported as the value it is. I commit myself to call on all that have a sense of integrity to value life, to hear this message, as there will be an accounting for what was done to life at death, and no one escapes this, no matter how much money one has. I commit myself to call on all economists to investigate their integrity and to insist that the ecosystem on Earth be restored to what it was designed to be, to support life. I commit myself to show that our universities are only serving systems of profit and do not value life, in fact. I commit myself to show that our human rights activists have not realized that life is the only basic human right, from which all other rights flow equally for all. I commit myself to show that the world will not solve any problem until life is valued as the foundation of the economic system on Earth.